Okay, let's unpack this a bit. When you think about a bank teller, what comes to mind? Maybe just, someone counting money, handling deposits. Seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, that's definitely the common image. But the reality, like this article we're looking at shows, is, well, it's quite a bit more involved than just cash handling.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we want to dive into today. We've got this piece inside the world of bank tellers, and it gives a really detailed look.
It does. It looks at the skills, the requirements, the day-to-day stuff behind the counter.
So our mission, basically, for this deep dive is to use this source, go beyond that surface view, and really understand the role. Pull out those key nuggets,
Yeah.
the things you might not expect.
Sounds good. Let's see what's really going on there.
Okay, so what's the first thing that jumps out from the article?
Well, it's clear right away that bank tellers are described as more than just cashiers. They're really positioned as, like, finance and customer service professionals. That's key.
That definitely shifts the perspective. So yeah, they handle the transactions, deposits, withdrawals, transfers, all that, but they're also juggling administrative tasks.
Exactly. The article points out a whole range. Things like greeting customers, handling phone calls, emails, even keeping the lobby looking presentable, organizing files.
Wow. Okay. It's a mix then. Direct customer stuff and also kind of back office support work.
Right. And that transaction processing itself requires serious precision.
Oh, I bet. Balancing that cash drawer at the end of the day, that sounds pretty intense.
It is. And the article even mentions they handle foreign currency exchange sometimes.
Really? So they need to keep up with international rates too.
Yeah, adds another layer of complexity, It's not just straightforward dollars and cents all the time.
Okay, so it's not just the standard checking and savings activity either. They're also expected to be knowledgeable about the bank's offerings, like explaining different accounts, loans.
Right. Credit options, helping order checks or cards. The article says they need to be well-informed navigators of all the bank's services.
Got it. So if someone's listening and thinking, okay, maybe this sounds interesting, what does the article say about actually getting hired? What are the requirements?
Well, the source highlights that typically a high school diploma or a GED is the minimum entry point.
Oh, pretty standard.
But, and this is important, having an associate's or even a bachelor's degree can make a real difference. The article suggests it can definitely help with getting hired in the first place and potentially pave the way for moving up faster later on.
Makes sense. Any particular fields of study recommended?
Yeah, it specifically mentions coursework in things like business, finance, accounting, or economics. Having that background helps.
So you can start with just the diploma, but building that foundational knowledge beforehand gives you a bit of an edge.
Definitely. And the practical training itself, that's usually hands-on, right? Right there in the branch.
Yeah, learning by doing.
Exactly. The article says more experienced colleagues or managers usually guide the new tellers. They teach them the specific banking software, cash handling procedures, how to record transactions, navigate the internal systems.
So learning the operational ropes happens on the job.
Pretty much, though having that prior coursework we talked about, that can really help new hires pick things up faster. The more complex math, account reconciliation, understanding the products quickly.
Okay, so that covers the basic education and the on-the-job part. But this article brings up something else interesting. Voluntary certifications. Why would someone go for those if they aren't strictly required?
That's a great question. And the article really frames these certifications as key for career progression, for moving up in banking.
Okay, so it's about showing commitment.
Yeah, commitment to professional development, and it validates specific skills beyond just, day-to-day experience. The source actually names two important ones.
No, tell us about them.
Okay, first there's the Bank Teller Certificate. That's offered by the American Bankers Association, the ABA.
ABA, got it. What does that cover?
The article says it focuses on foundational things: communication skills, banking ethics, basic teller operations, workplace conduct. It's about 13 hours of study, roughly.
Sounds like a solid grounding in the professional side of things.
Yeah.
And the second one?
That one's from the Independent Community Bankers of America, the ICBA. It's called the Teller Specialist Certificate.
ICBA Teller Specialist, okay.
Yeah, this one's online. It also puts a strong focus on teller fundamentals, but the article says it deep dives more into customer service, handling different types of checks, and crucially, compliance regulations.
Compliance. That's huge in banking, isn't it?
Absolutely massive. So it seems like these certifications, even though they're voluntary, they really signal a higher level of dedication and understanding, especially the ICBA one with compliance focus.
And the article implies these can actually open doors.
Yeah.
To roles beyond just being a teller.
That's the suggestion, yeah. They show initiative and a solid grasp of the complexities involved.
Okay, interesting. Switching gears slightly. The article also details several core skills that are absolutely essential. The first one is probably obvious to most people. Math.
Oh, completely non-negotiable. I mean, you're dealing with numbers, with money, all day, every day.
Counting cash, calculations, balancing.
Precision is just. It's everything.
Then there's customer service. Makes perfect sense, given how much interaction there is.
Right. And the source explicitly connects excellent customer service to boosting customer retention and even sales, which we'll get to.
So being friendly, approachable, helpful, that builds trust.
Critical for building that rapport, yeah.
Organization is another key skill listed. Why is being neat and orderly so important for a teller?
Well, mostly for security and accuracy. Think about it. You're managing significant amounts of cash, sensitive documents. So you need a highly organized system. It minimizes errors, helps maintain a professional environment, just keeps things running smoothly and safely.
And of course, in today's world, computer literacy, that's fundamental.
Absolutely. They're constantly using specialized banking software for every single transaction, pulling reports, logging interactions.
So being comfortable and efficient with those systems is essential.
You can't do the job without it, really.
Now, here's a skill the article highlights that might be, well, less expected, at least for someone who only sees the teller processing transactions: sales.
Yes. This is where the role really goes beyond just service. The article points out that strong sales skills are often preferred. Doesn't matter if it's a big corporate bank or a smaller community branch.
So it's not enough to just handle the money accurately and answer questions politely. They're actively involved in promoting the bank's products.
That's what the article indicates. They're often tasked with informing customers about relevant products, things like credit cards, different savings options, maybe loans that could help someone. It positions them as being in a frontline role for generating business for the bank, right alongside providing that core service.
Wow. That adds a whole different dynamic, doesn't it? Balancing being helpful and providing good service with also identifying opportunities to offer products.
It really does. It kind of illustrates how the bank views the teller role, according to this article anyway, as a key player in both customer relations and business growth.
Okay. The source also touches briefly on the typical work environment. Pretty much what you'd expect, right? Commercial bank branches, credit unions.
Correct. Usually working from behind a counter, maybe at drive-up windows sometimes, engaging with the public constantly.
And it involves periods of both sitting and standing, moving around.
Yeah. The hours are generally full-time, standard business week mostly, though the article notes occasional weekend shifts might be required, depending on the branch.
But they generally get most federal holidays off, and bank-specific ones too.
That's usually the case, yes. And finally, the article touches on salary.
Right, the money part. What does it say?
Well, it notes the range is actually quite broad. It depends heavily on things like location, how much experience you have, and your educational background.
So it varies a lot.
It does. It gives a common U.S. hourly rate around $13.76, but it shows the potential range can go from minimum wage all the way up to over $26 an hour.
That's a significant spread. It suggests that those skills we talked about, the education, and especially those voluntary certifications, they likely play a big role in boosting that earning potential.
Absolutely. Or opening doors to higher paying positions within the bank.
It ties right back to why investing in those credentials, like the article mentioned, can be really worthwhile for someone in this field.
Exactly. It all connects.
So, okay, let's recap this deep dive a bit. We looked at this article inside the world of bank tellers, and we've seen, well, it's way more complex than just counting cash.
Definitely. It's a demanding blend, isn't it? Finance, precise admin work, crucial customer service, and yeah, that definite element of sales.
We explored the education side, high school minimum, but degrees help, the on-the-job training, and the strategic value of those voluntary certs from the ABA and ICBA for, career growth.
And the essential skills required. The math, organization, being good with computers, but also that strong customer interaction piece.
And we touched on the work setting, the hours, and how factors like location and experience influence the salary range.
Hopefully this gives you, the listener, a much richer appreciation for everything involved, for the person helping you out next time you're at the bank or credit union.
Yeah, definitely more than meets the eye. So, thinking about everything we discussed, what stands out most to you from this dive? Maybe it's how that need for perfect accuracy and customer trust sits right next to the expectation to spot sales opportunities. Is that the surprising part?
Or maybe it's realizing that those specific voluntary certifications we talked about can be a genuine stepping stone, a way to advance a career well beyond that initial teller line.
Yeah. Think about how this role demands this constant balancing act, between tasks that seem simple on the surface but require this really complex set of responsibilities and knowledge underneath, something to mull over.